The wind carried dust and memory through the valley that morning. A valley once green and alive, now quiet beneath a sun too hot for comfort. The red earth of Ndalamo cracked in long, patient lines, as if the land itself had been waiting too long for forgiveness. But still, beneath the dry soil, life stirred, unseen, waiting. At the edge of the valley stood a woman named Amara. Her skin was the color of new rain on dark soil, and her eyes held the steady calm of someone who had seen too much yet refused to surrender to despair. Her braided hair, bound with cowrie shells and strands of golden thread, shimmered faintly under the sun. She wore a simple, earth-toned wrapper tied at her shoulder, dusted with the signs of travel and time. She had returned home, though home had long forgotten her name. Years ago, Ndalamo had been the heartbeat of the plains, a village of laughter, drums, and music that could make even the stars dance. But drought came, then hunger, then silence. And when silence stayed too long, people forgot how to hope. Amara's return was not to reclaim land or memory. She came to plant something, a seed her grandmother had once given her, wrapped carefully in cloth and blessings. A seed only grows where the soil remembers love, her grandmother had said. As she entered the village, eyes turned toward her. Men paused mid-swing with their hoes. Women stopped weaving baskets. Children peered from behind clay walls, their faces powdered with dust. Suspicion and curiosity danced together in their gaze. From the crowd emerged Baba Nuru, the village elder. Tall, lean, his skin dark and weathered, he carried the authority of time. His white beard flowed like river foam, and his deep-set eyes still burned with pride, though softened by the years. He leaned on a carved staff whose top bore the shape of a bird taking flight, a relic of his ancestors. He spoke with a voice dry as the very earth he stood on. "Amara, daughter of Malaika, you return to ashes. What is it you seek in this forgotten soil?" Amara bowed her head slightly, respect glinting in her calm eyes. "I seek not what was lost," she said softly, "but what can still be born." Baba Nuru studied her, the corners of his lips twitching with the ghost of a smile. "There are no seeds left here," he murmured. "Even the trees have forgotten how to live." Behind him, a young man named Cato stood listening. He was strong, tall, and scarred, his back bent from carrying too much too soon. His hands were calloused from carving and building, his heart tired from rebuilding what kept breaking. He was the village craftsman, the one who fixed things, though even he could not fix hope. Cato had once loved the rain so deeply that he would dance barefoot in it as a boy. Now he looked up at the sky only to curse it. Amara met his eyes for a brief moment. In them, she saw something fierce and unspoken, like embers beneath ash. The next day, Amara began her work. At dawn, she walked to the edge of the old fields, where the soil was cracked but still breathing. She knelt, pressing her hands into the dirt as if in prayer. Her palms came away dusty and dry, yet she smiled. "The earth is only sleeping," she whispered. From a distance, an elderly woman watched, Mama Lindayo, the village herbalist. Her skin, a map of years, glowed softly beneath her indigo shawl. Silver hair framed her face like moonlight, and her walking stick was adorned with dried herbs and roots. People said she spoke to plants as if they were her kin. But lately, even the plants had grown silent. She approached Amara slowly. "Child," she said, "this land has forgotten the taste of water." Amara smiled gently. "Then let it remember through love." Mama Lindayo chuckled, a dry sound that melted into a sigh. "You sound like your grandmother," she said, "always believing the impossible." Days passed, and Amara continued to work alone. She fetched water from the distant well, bucket by bucket, drop by drop, and poured it over the dusty field. The villagers watched her with pity. Some laughed quietly, others shook their heads. To them, she was a fool clinging to dead things. Only Cato found himself drawn to her persistence. He began bringing her water when her hands trembled from exhaustion. He didn't speak much, but his presence spoke enough. One evening, as they stood beneath the fading orange sky, he finally asked, Why do you care so much for land that doesn't care for you? Amara looked at him, the fading light painting her skin golden. Because the land and I are the same, she said softly. Broken, but still breathing. Cato stared at her for a long moment before nodding slowly. Then I will help it breathe again, he said, and for the first time in years he smiled. Together they worked, tilling the dry earth, planting seeds that looked more like dust than life. Mama Lindau taught them which roots remembered water, which herbs whispered to rain. And slowly, other villagers began to join in. Children carried small pots of water. Elders offered songs once forgotten. Even Baba Nuru came, leaning on his staff, his eyes softer now. But hope is a fragile thing. It often breaks just when it begins to bloom. One night the wind shifted. Dark clouds rolled over Ndalamo, but no rain fell. Instead, a great sandstorm came, tearing through the village like an angry spirit. Huts trembled. Fields disappeared under waves of dust. The people ran, shouting, shielding their eyes. Amara stood in the storm, her arms spread, protecting the fragile shoots that had just begun to grow. The storm swallowed her figure until only the faint shimmer of her cowrie shells could be seen through the dust. When the storm passed, the fields were bare again, the seeds gone. The villagers looked around in silence, despair settling over them like ash. Cato knelt where the sprouts had been, clenching dry earth in his fist. She tried, he muttered, voice breaking. She gave it everything. But Amara stood quietly, her face streaked with dust and tears. Her voice, though soft, carried across the ruins. Even roots buried by storms still reach for water. The villagers turned to her. She knelt once more and pressed her palms into the ground. Her hands bled slightly, but she smiled. The storm did not take the seeds, she whispered. It planted them deeper. And then, as if the heavens had waited for her words, the first drop of rain fell. It was small at first, hesitant, almost shy. Then another. Then hundreds. The sky opened, and the earth drank greedily. Children screamed in joy, running barefoot through the mud. Mama Lindai raised her hands to the sky, tears mingling with the rain. Baba Nuru's deep voice broke into laughter, the kind of laughter that trembles with relief. And there, in the center of it all, Amara stood, drenched and smiling, her cowrie shells glinting like stars. Cato joined her, water streaming down his face. He laughed through tears, real, unashamed tears, and said, "You were right. The soil remembers love." The next morning, the village was alive with scent and sound. Tiny green shoots pushed through the wet soil like shy promises. Birds returned to the trees, and children sang songs of the rain. The drums of Ndalamo beat again, soft at first, then louder, echoing across the plains. Amara planted her grandmother's seed in the heart of the village. Over weeks, it grew into a small tree with leaves shaped like open hands. The villagers called it the Tree of Remembrance. They said its roots carried every tear, every prayer, every heartbeat that had ever touched their soil. When the tree blossomed, its flowers were the color of sunrise, gold, orange, and deep red. Amara would sit beneath it each evening, her eyes watching the children dance. Cato would carve wooden toys beside her, smiling as laughter returned to the air. Baba Nuru, now older and slower, would sometimes rest beneath the same tree and say, "Hope is not born from miracles. It is born from hands that refuse to stop planting." Mama Lindau tended to the herbs once more, teaching Zahara, the young girl who had never believed in magic, that love itself was the oldest medicine. And as the seasons turned, Ndalamo flourished. Fields shimmered with green, laughter flowed freely, and every root beneath the soil pulsed with life. One morning, Cato went to find Amara beneath the tree, but she was gone. Her footprints led to the horizon, where the grass met the rising sun. On the ground where she sat, a small pouch lay open, filled with more seeds. He smiled softly, whispering, "She left us enough hope to plant the world." From that day, whenever new rains fell on Ndalamo, the villagers would say the same words in her memory. "May our roots remember love." and in the quiet rustle of the leaves, if one listened closely, they could almost hear her voice, soft, strong, and eternal, whispering through the wind. Hope grows where hearts refuse to give up, because sometimes the greatest miracles are not found in the heavens, but in the roots we water with faith, love, and persistence. This is Whispers of Humanity, where stories speak to the soul.